Give it up for Chris McGimsie joining me live here. Holy moly. Now, what was incredible, there are so many incredible things about the treehouse, but everything inside that treehouse was actually repurposed material. So we want to talk a little bit about not throwing everything out.
Exactly.
We have a real problem with that. So let's talk about all the things that you might want to repurpose when you're out there building a project.
Like we were saying before, you know, we're the generation that tends to throw out everything.
Yeah.
Like our parents and our grandparents' generation were the ones that recycled because of the time they grew up. So I'm of the nature that if I can recycle and repurpose materials, I like to. We throw out so much stuff in construction.
Yeah.
So first things first, you know, any demolition job, we tend to tear out a lot of wood and throw it out. Now, this piece of 2x4 is, you know, something I pulled off a job site last week. There's no reason why this can't be repurposed, whether to either butt up with an additional framing or even just a cut up into blocks. You know, a lot of people will fill dumpsters with this kind of stuff. So I like to try to repurpose even just 2x4s that don't look so great, but they still have plenty of life left in them.
Okay.
The next thing I like to keep is any bits of copper.
Right.
You know, not only I find the smallest piece of copper can save you in any little plumbing jam, but it's also worth money in scrap metal.
Yes, it is.
So I find my electricians and my plumbers, they tend to keep piles of this stuff because when they have a truckload or a van load, they take it to the dump, right? And they can recycle that. They get money out of it.
This is precious.
It's precious.
Everybody needs copper. So that is the sort of thing you don't want to throw away.
Exactly. This is another one I got out of a job last week. You know, a lot of times I just can't throw this kind of stuff out. Like I remember my no-no banging out nails growing up, like straightening out nails. Like that's a little extreme for me, but that's just the generation that did that. So, you know, this is a perfectly good faucet. Instead of throwing this in the dump, what I do is on these jobs, I put a pile of stuff at the curb and someone will find a purpose for this. It's perfectly fine. Someone just wanted a new one. So, you know, reuse the faucet.
Well, our grandparents did it because they didn't have the money to buy. They didn't have the money to waste. So we have to start thinking about that again, because why are we just throwing money out the window? Even tiles.
Old tiles.
So you got this probably from what? One of your jobs ripped out of somebody's, you know, bathroom or kitchen or wherever it is. Like it can be reused. Totally
reused. And there's a lot of non-profit organizations like the Habitat for Humanity where you can either drop off old building materials or pick up lightly used building materials, you know, like old tiles. I'm not sure if you know, but you can buy mist tints of paint at most paint stores. So does this mean they just didn't get the right color? They didn't get the color bang on? You go into a paint store, you don't like the color, instead of the paint company charging you, they'll just mix you up a new batch, and then they have all these extra mist tints. A mist tint of paint is, you know, like $5 or $6 compared to buying a whole new can for 30 or 40. Sure, it's not the exact color that you want. It is a mist tint, but there's a huge savings there. And then the paint doesn't go in the garbage because paint's pretty toxic as well. That's right. So, you know, reuse the paint, reuse the tiles, save the copper, save wire, reuse wood. Now, you actually repurposed this chair. So who were you with when you found these chairs? So my dad found those chairs. He knows I like that vintage kind of style. He found 4 of them. They were going in the garbage. I said, don't throw those chairs out. I will save them, reupholster them. So I saved like the little studded, you know, edge on it. And then I just reupholstered them myself. Very nice. And then put the nail head back on. Yeah, that's beautiful. Looks like new. And then tires. There's so much you can do with tires. I know. Like the tires, like, you know, my mechanic couldn't give these away because this is something else that goes into a landfill. I remember as a kid having a tire swing. So why not let's repurpose tires, right? Yes. So you did a lot of that on a recent trip that you took. So Chris actually went to India to help build a playground in an underserviced area, and tires were part of this. Actually, every single thing used in this build was repurposed. We have some pictures from his time there, and this was really life-changing. It was a life-changing experience on so many levels. You know, it's not a place where you can just go to Home Depot or go to Lowe's and you can buy whatever you want. Like we use repurposed materials. The entire playground was built of repurposed materials. One thing we built in particular was a tire pyramid. I remember having tire pyramids as a kid. I loved it. Like I would love to build one. I loved the rope swing. And it was just really inspiring to see, you know, people that don't really have a lot, how happy they are, but how resourceful they are. So I thought coming back just kind of, you know, and I was always thinking of recycling, repurposing before I went away, but after being there and coming back, I've kind of approached my projects a little differently and just what to do with waste and what to repurpose. And then if there's extra, you know, donating is a good thing. Donating is a good thing. Let's talk about exactly how much we are wasting in North America. So in North America, there's Over 240 million tons of landfill waste go into the ground every year. So that's a lot.
That's significant.
Now, 27% of all that landfill waste is construction waste.
Right.
That's a lot.
Yes.
Just from construction. They call it CRD waste, construction, renovation, and demolition. Now, of our construction waste, we're not recycling any more than 30% of that.
Yeah.
So that's a lot, you know, and the problem is with construction, renovation, demolition, there's a lot of concrete, asphalt, and materials that can't be recycled. But the materials that can be recycled, like wood, like copper and steel, I'd say, you know, definitely want to recycle everything we can.
You just have to do the work and look up the nonprofits and the organizations that are helping us do this stuff. But thanks so much.
You're welcome.
That's lovely.